Sustaining Creativity podcast. I'm your host, Mari Reisberg. Over the past several years, I've combined my degrees in acting and somatic psychology to share my sustaining creativity techniques with performers. And now I've decided to share it with a bigger audience that includes you. I believe we are all creative, and this podcast is all about that. I'll be interviewing people from all backgrounds, ages, and creativity experiences to share just how creative we all are. Today, I'll be chatting with Tigrilla Gardenia, nature-inspired mentor and certified life coach. Please enjoy Tigrilla Gardenia. Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity podcast. Today, I'm chatting with Tigrilla Gardenia, nature-inspired mentor and certified life coach. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here.
I am excited for you to join me today so we can chat about creativity. But before we get there, why don't you take a couple of minutes and let our listeners know a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
All right, I'll give you the super condensed version because I can go in so many different directions. So, in the easiest of ways of describing it, I am with the help of plant allies. So I work very closely with the plant world. I help creative, multi-passionates who often feel the pressure to fit into systems designed for them. So neurodivergent, people who out of the box thinking, alternative thinking. I want them to really remember that they are beings of nature and to build a personal ecosystem that is authentic, that is rooted, and that is connected. In other words, I want you to be able to work the way your mind works, and then we'll work on how to interpret that out into the rest of the world.
I love it.
Yeah.
How did you get into this nature-inspired mentorship, and what was your own journey?
Yeah, so my own journey in a like not making it too long because it could be an episode all in of itself. I have this really weird varied background. I spent 10 years in high tech. My background is music and engineering, and I spent all these years in high tech. I left to form a production company and go back to my music and arts roots, to my creative roots. And I used to produce large dance parties. And in that process, I also managed a lot of artists, both visual artists as well as musicians of different types. And throughout my career, I worked with REM. I was their intern when they did one of their albums, and I've worked in like radio stations and with bands in so many different directions. So I have a very kind of creative background, but all this engineering type mind, very logical, project management oriented type thing. And then I started to I was invited to co-own a circus. That kind of started me on a different realm of talk about creativity there. And I ended up leaving the United States on a tour with Cirque du Soleil, where with my partner who got a job with them, and eventually I got a job with them. And then in that process, in all of that time, I was also teaching spiritual studies. So I have an esoteric background. I'm a Kabbalist, and I also teach like sacred geometry, and I used to teach a bunch of other pieces. And so all of this culminates in the fact that after I come off tour and I end up staying in Europe and am teaching at this time, I ended up moving for many different reasons to one of the largest spiritual communities in the world. It's called Domino. And it's kind of like a mix between Hogwarts and Oz. If you put those two together, that's what you get. With underground temples called the Temples of Humankind. And it's just an amazing place. And in this location, I was hit back with my whole music and engineering side through something called the music of the plants. So I started to work very closely with plant musicians. So these are plants that using this device are able to create music. So as you can imagine, I have this like scientific sort of engineering side, this esoteric spiritual side, and this creative, mostly music and art. And I bring these three pieces together for the work that I do. And that's really how I got here. It was when I finally realized that I needed all of those, that we are nature. And it was the plants that helped me see how it is that all of this fits into an ecosystem and how important it is for us to stimulate all these different parts of ourselves.
Oh my goodness. I love all of this. And I have a feeling we have friends in common and the circus world. And so,
Ah, nice.
so
I love
yeah,
it.
I love
Love
this.
it.
I love the connections and the sacred geometry and all of these pieces. I'm so curious when you think of creativity and your own creativity, what does it mean to you to be creative?
Yeah, so creativity to me is really the non-linear logic. It's the ability for us to tap into a side of ourselves that doesn't have to have a reason and that is the expression in and of itself. I, for example, have I call it the Sprouts Writing and Creativity Group that we meet weekly. And what I love about this group is the idea of I just want to create. There is no goal in this.
Mhm.
And to me, creativity is really that. It can be it's how do I bring together everything that whatever it is that I'm experiencing in that moment and allow it to reassemble itself, pulling in also unique pieces and bring that together for it to express itself. To me, that is the heart of creativity. It's the fact of not starting from a model in and of itself, but allowing something to just flow.
Hmm. That's beautiful. I love the creating without a goal, the non-linear logic and
Yeah.
having things just arise and take that in and make adjustments and allow whatever it is that's surrounding you to impact and influence the things that you do.
And it's so important, especially one of the things that I've loved about working with plants is that plants have, I mean, they've been around since before us, right? So plants know how to create an ecosystem, know how to, how to nourish, know how to do so many different things. But at the same time, they don't do it the way our human mind works. And so when you
Mm,
work with a plant, it allows, the plant is able to share that, whether it's as a model, whether
mhm,
that's as a mentor, whether that's as a collaborator, it doesn't matter, regardless of whether I can talk about it from a completely scientific perspective or from a super spiritual perspective. But the point is that that information is going to come in a way that we ourselves don't yet understand because it's not
mhm,
using our normal logic. And so creativity allows me to step back from it and say, I don't need to understand it in order to embody it, to be it, to express it, to use it, to work with it. And that's
mm,
what I really love and why all of the work that I do I have an online community and everything has a piece of creativity. As a matter of fact, whenever I teach a workshop or a class, the most important thing you need to bring with you are all of your like drawing materials, writing materials, whatever feels, just have it all ready and space because your body is also a form of expression.
mhm,
So when we do that writing and creativity group, sometimes we're going to write, sometimes we're drawing, some people get up and like sing, some people move and do a little dance routine to the prompts because the goal is not the structure. We're not trying to write a book or we're not trying to like do certain pieces.
mhm,
It is about the exercise of giving yourself permission to
mhm,
express without anybody who's going to critique you or give you feedback. It's just you stepping into whatever prompt is being given to you and saying, okay, if I have no rules, because within this safe space, I have no rules. What
mhm,
do I create from this?
mm. So for individuals who show up to this space and feel maybe this is their first time or there's, creativity or tapping into their innate creative voice isn't
Mhm.
something that they're familiar with, how do you navigate that with them?
Yeah, and this is where the two ways. One, this is where the plants are fantastic because we often will do something to like check in. You all will always have a base of you can just go to writing, and when you don't know what to write, we just say repeat whatever the heck words are coming into your head. So sometimes it's just stream of consciousness of like, I don't know what I want to write. I have no idea what I'm doing here. This place is really scary. These people are scaring the hell out of me. Like that's okay too. And we tell
Yeah.
people that's part of your expression. That's what's going through your mind.
Yeah.
So, but we always kind of do this little warm up, and oftentimes we'll bring plants into it from that
Mm,
perspective. And the second part that I think is which again kind of connects to the plants, but in another way, is how important community is. Like
Mm.
we're not meant to be in isolation.
Hmm.
And the reason I created this online community off of like the normal social media in a safe space that's all in its own called the
Hmm.
Naturally Conscious Community is because I wanted people to know that what happens in there stays within us, right?
Mm.
You have the right to control however it is. We've had
Hmm.
people that don't go on camera, people that use different names. Like, I don't care about any of that. What I care is that you interact with the community and that you give yourself space, but that might take time. Like, we've had plenty of people that were like super silent for the first, few weeks that they were there.
Yeah.
And then, all of a sudden one day spoke up. And I don't care. You don't have to
Mm.
share. You
Hmm.
could do it also in your own language because we have people from different countries. And so it really is about, it's my job, and I take that very seriously, to create that safe space. Like,
Mm.
I'm going to hold that space and I'm going to
Mhm.
do my best to make you feel like you're a part of it, but
Yeah.
in whatever way is comfortable for you, whether
Mm.
you're an introvert, an extrovert, some kind of combination in between.
I love that. And first of all, thank you for bringing up safety and who holds it and, that piece. Because I think in so many creative spaces, I'm using air quotes because that can be anywhere, that people don't talk about it and
Yeah.
they don't know who's holding it or who's creating the safety. And so thank you for bringing
Yeah.
that up.
It's so, and especially in the creative world, it's so important because,
Hmm.
you know, especially like I said, with the work that we do, I always encourage everyone to use any means to
Mm.
capture the information that's coming to you. But what you're capturing might not make any sense in today's world or in the
Yeah.
world that you know as it is. It
Hmm.
might sound like gobbledygook, and I'm confident that it has a meaning, that it's
Mm.
going to take you somewhere, that it is expressing something. And for example, I'm not the best like objective artist when it comes to drawing type
Hmm.
stuff. And that's what I love. Like, I love that I can still use that medium because we've created that safe space.
Mm.
And that it's not about my painting or my artwork or whatever it is that I'm working on in any of the different things that we do isn't about me showing you something. It's about me processing whatever
Hmm.
it is that I'm experiencing, and oftentimes finding its location in my physical and subtle body. Like,
Hmm.
that process of moving my arms, of using color, is triggering different
Yeah.
parts of singing and using my voice, of moving in whatever we had. I remember one of the sessions, we were doing one of the prompts. The person, what she ended up doing for the prompt was sitting in fetal position for the
Mm.
entire time that
Yeah.
we were all like drawing or doing stuff, because she moved a little bit and she did this and then ended up in fetal position. And
Hmm.
she shared what she did. She didn't try to describe why or how or whatever came to mind. And so,
Hmm.
like you said, that safety is really important because those
Yeah.
are delicate moments of sparks of something that hopefully will become a new paradigm, which is what we need.
Hmm.
And we desperately need this whole paradigm to shift, which means it can't make sense. It's not
Yeah.
supposed to make sense necessarily.
Yeah. And that embracing that is pretty challenging for a
Yeah,
lot of people. So,
it really is.
in your own life, when you bump up against, I don't know, people call them like writer's block or any creative challenge or hiccup, what are some of the creative pauses or pieces that have happened in your own life, and how do you navigate them?
Yeah, I work a lot. Obviously, I bring the plants into it because of
Hmm.
that alternative logic. So I do give myself a lot of grace and rest,
Hmm.
especially because I generate a lot of content for my work. I have my own podcast. I do a lot of things. So sometimes when I go to sit down to like, I don't know, write a new workshop or to write kind of like a book or something, the words are like, really more words that I want to put into it. And I also very much recognize that the work that I'm doing is on that cutting edge of a new definition of something. And so It's funny, I just recently started writing again after, writing as in like trying to create something coherent that I could show to others after a long period of silence. And I realized just recently that all of this time that I had produced an outline and then taken and then left it and thinking, oh, I just left it. I haven't gotten there to it yet. When I sat down to do it today, this last like 2 months, I realized, oh my goodness, I would have never been able to get where I am today had I not given myself that rest. Like while I had a very great outline and the outline is still valid, what fits inside of that outline has only been codified in the last few months. And
Mm.
so that was further proof of like be okay with the rest. And I'm a very big proponent. All of my work is about that. I hate the word discipline. I don't believe in it. I don't think it's something that you need. I feel like what's most important is we have to figure out how your mind, especially because, like I said, I work with multi-passionates or multi-potentialites and very, very neurodivergent often is how is it that your mind processes? And what is it trying to process? So
Mm-hmm.
as a coach, I get very deep into tell me all of the times you feel most inspired. And
Mm.
then let's look at all of that and see, is there a structure we can give it? Or does the structure in and of itself kill it off? So we can't go towards structure. Like, where are the pieces and how do we also use all of them? I'll give you an example that I sometimes use. Let's take your famous to-do list. Okay. The to-do list has, we often think, okay, I'm going to create a to-do list using one technology, whatever. I'm going to do a digital to-do list. I'm going to do a paper to-do list. I'm going to write this type of stuff on my to-do list, whatever it is. And then I have to check it off or finish those things. If not, it's not done. I actually don't believe in that. I have 5 different types of to-do lists, and each one of them fits a different need in me, and they work all together in harmony. So I have a digital to-do list for certain types of things that I know work well digitally. I have a paper to-do list that is something I put there to make sure that I remember that I'm eventually going to get to that, but sometimes it could take me years to get to it. I
Mm.
have another paper piece that is in a different place that is hey, these are the things I want to take care of in the next day or two. And then I let it go. Like I might go and clean the bathroom partially, then I stand up and I go to the kitchen and I do something, then I come back and I sit at my computer for a little while, then I go back to the bathroom because I went to pee and I realized, oh, I need to finish this, and I finish it. In the end of the day, my entire to-do list gets done, but it's done in scats and pieces and whatever because that's
Mm.
the way my mind operates.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like creativity also is something that we have to allow see how our body fits into it and
Mm.
then support that.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a client, for example, that one of the things we worked on, she is extremely creative person, like somebody who literally has to create, but her
Mm-hmm.
mind doesn't like to work on the same thing for too long. So what
Mm-hmm.
did we do? In her house, we built stations all across
Mm.
her house. She had a beading station. She had a drawing station. She had she's a fashion designer too, fashion station. So a sewing type station. She had a this station. She had her TV for like, I need to get away from all the stations. Like
Yeah.
all of her house in beautiful locations. And the reason for this was because when she would get inspired, if she had to pull something out, the inspiration would go.
Yeah.
So for her, she needed each station to be able to be its own little messy world where the
Mm.
things were left in the way she was working on them in that moment. She
Mm-hmm.
couldn't have one thing that got constantly like put away. Where some people need order, she
Mm-hmm.
didn't. She needed the opposite of
Yeah.
it. And so once she did that, she could float around her house throughout the course of her day. And like she might float past the station of, sewing, and she'd be like, oh, and she would get an idea and she would sketch something and maybe
Mm.
like start putting fabric together. Then she would go
Mm-hmm.
to the bathroom and would end up beading because that was, like that's, that whole perspective of how do we get into what that world looks like for you and then create the support system, the ecosystem around it that supports that way.
Yeah. And so much just this idea of trusting the process. Whatever the
Yes,
process is for you is going to look different than it is for me and different from the next person. And trusting in whatever that process looks like
right?
is is going to be exactly what it needs to be. Where do you in terms of supporting people to trust the process, what is that journey?
Yeah, a lot of that journey is, first of all, retrospective, because I
Mm,
think that sometimes we give, because world tells us idea, production, completion,
hmm
and that is your answer. And then we don't take the approach of really looking at it from a more holistic perspective. And
hmm
so one part of it is starting to get you comfortable with the idea that most of us, our minds are not going to work that linearly. Like,
Yeah.
so stop looking for success models that are this thing got created within 3 days or whatever type of piece. So some of it is analyzing the way that you've worked
hmm
and getting you to even be honest with the way that you've worked and redefining a lot of that. So I would say
hmm
that a big chunk of it is redefining, especially if you're working, like if you have you have a business or you're working for somebody else. It's very easy to get caught up in, oh, my boss is telling me I have to do it this way. And it's like, well, is your boss telling you you have to do it that way, or is your boss telling you you have to get it done? Let's
Mm,
figure this out.
yeah.
Because nobody has to know necessarily your process. And what are the things your boss says that inspire you versus what are the things that don't? And so then we can work it. So a lot of it is really analyzing so
Mm.
that we can take all the pieces that actually work and start building. And to be honest, a lot of it's trial and error,
hmm
like, and cycles, right? Where are you? Which is why it takes a long time. Like I tell people, I'm like, this is a long-term work because
hmm
you might be extremely productive. Like I just got out of a period of my own self where it might seem like, oh, it's summer, it's the end of summer, it's supposed to be super productive. Look, I come from a super hot climate. You know what we do during the summer? Nothing. It's freaking hot. You don't do anything. You lie around and you fan yourself. Yeah, we have modern day air conditioning and you could think that, but biologically speaking, I take
hmm
siesta. Siesta. And so I am very big on like, what is also your cycles? How do
Mm,
your rhythms work? When are you most awake? Like I can only do strategy type work in the morning. If I try
mm,
to strategize in the afternoon, please, my mind does not process at all. I tried, I played with it, but so a lot of it is also this kind of like, okay, let's really look at your biology also. How, when are you most alive and awake? Is it in the morning? Is it in the afternoon? Is it at 3 o'clock in the morning? And then how do we build? I was just listening to a book this morning and I was so happy when the woman, it's a storytelling book, it's about storytelling, and she was talking about how one of her clients was came to her complaining about like the fact that she would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and couldn't go back to sleep, and she kept trying to go back to sleep. And she asked her, she was like, are you actually sleeping during the day? And she's like, no. She's like, well, then why don't you just get up at 4? And she's like, well, who gets up at 4? She's like, this person and this person and these people and all these people, people who naturally wake up at 4. And she's like, can I do that? I'm like, why not try? You're awake anyway.
yeah.
See what kind of production do you like? Is that when you journal? Is that when you and like do you write emails at that time? Because that's when you feel most like chitty chatty with people. Go call people and have a conversation. But there's a lot of stuff you could do if you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And please, who cares what time you go to sleep? Go to sleep whenever the heck you're sleepy. So it's like getting out of these conventions and getting back into the rhythms of your body. And that's that natural approach about working with
Mm.
yourself as a being of nature and like falling into that cycle.
I love that. And really challenging in the current paradigm of structure and linear, and it has to make sense to people. And
Mhm.
this, as you were saying, may not make sense right
Yeah,
now. And
exactly.
it will take time for it to make sense or for things to fall into place. And so there's
Yeah.
those other pieces. I love this work and I love how it connects to the natural world and plants. And as you were even talking about people, sleeping at different times, I was thinking, oh man, yeah, there are plants that are like very alive in moonlight versus sunlight versus,
Absolutely.
and
Or
so,
darkness. I have an
yeah.
entire episode called scototropism because scototropism is growing towards the dark, not growing away from the light, literally growing towards the dark. And I'm like,
Mm,
that's a part of us. That's a
yeah.
natural part of us.
I love it. I love, oh my goodness. We could talk for so long about all of this. I just have one last question for you.
Tell me.
What does it feel like in your body to be creative?
To me, being creative is when I don't have to think.
Hmm.
There's a part of me, like what I love about creativity is it shuts down the like thinking part of my mind and it opens up the sensory part of my mind. And I feel really connected to my body when I feel like I'm being creative, when creativity is hitting me, things are making sense in a way and being put together that bypass my knowledge. It uses my knowledge, but
Mm,
I don't have to actively like think about fishing from my knowledge. It's almost as if my knowledge then becomes this giant repository for other parts to like pass through, pick up what they need, and then embody whatever it is that I'm doing. So my hands, if I'm writing, or my body, if I'm dancing, or if I'm talking, my words. I'm still using that. So knowledge, preparedness, all of this
mm,
becomes a part of it. But it also incorporates sensory and guidance and connection to the more than human world and like beings that are speaking to me. Like all these things also get integrated into it.
I love it. This has been such a treat to chat with you. If people want to learn more about the work you have out in the world, how could they go about doing that?
So luckily I'm super easy because everything is basically Tigrilla Gardenia, which it'll be in the show notes so you can
Yes.
probably see it.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. So it's either .com for my website or for Instagram or like LinkedIn or Facebook or even YouTube. It's always just those two words stuck together as one big word, Tigrilla Gardenia.
I love it. Well, as you've said, I will put links in show notes so people have very easy access. And thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation.
Me too. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. We'd love to keep in touch, so follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are at Sustaining Creativity. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Tag your friends and family so they can listen too. We love to hear from you, so leave your reviews, comments, and questions. Check out our website, sustainingcreativity.com, for upcoming offerings and creativity coaching. Tune in Tuesdays for our next episode. And remember, with creativity, anything's possible.